We're here in Beverly Hills, California, where I just interviewed Brian Rosen, the CEO of InvestBev. He's raised over $250 million over the last couple years. He's experienced selling companies to private equity. He was formerly with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and he shares valuable insights on what it's like to run an investment fund, to raise capital, to actively deploy into portfolio companies, to even connecting with investors like myself, who's very interested in learning about the asset class that is the adult beverage industry. When you think about tequila, whiskey, wine, and spirits that are so ingrained into our everyday life, he shares behind the scenes approach behind what it was like having the first alcohol license in the USA, growing up in a long family ever since the Prohibition days, and even to what's going on now, and why you see mega influencers like The Rock starting his own tequila company, George Clooney getting into the space. So you're going to want to watch the whole episode, and thanks.
So the way I would tell my origin story is really that my family was the first liquor license handed out in Chicago after Prohibition. So you're young, I'm old, but that puts it at 1933. And Al Capone, who was the licensed guy, right, the number one gangster in America, America's Most Wanted, was very close to my family in the 30s. And that turned into when the federal government ended Prohibition, they were handing out liquor license, and my grandfather got in line and got one, and that became our history, our start in the liquor business.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was 1933, right? And that license turned into a saloon, which is an old time word for bar, and that saloon turned into liquor store, turned into the biggest liquor store in America, it turned into a chain of liquor stores in America, and we became the number one selling beverage provider in the U.S. And that was from the 30s up until 2000s, right? That's the niche. There's, from an investable standpoint, you can't really. There's no Schwab, right? There's no Fidelity. You can't buy a liquor that way. It's always on closed market private deals, and so you need someone on the inside that is both a relationship person and also kind of a economist type person, and I kind of fit that bill. But I would never do it blindly. Like anything, if you're doing any kind of investing, you really want to do it with someone or some category where you have a competitive advantage. Either it's knowledge or legacy or history. But if you're investing in anything, you want to invest with someone who knows more than you for sure and knows where the bodies are buried. And that's kind of how liquor is to us. Yeah, I mentioned we had these big stores, so out here on the West Coast, you know them like as a Bevmo kind of thing. On the East Coast, you know it as Total Wine, both of which tried to buy me multiple times. We ended up selling our business to private equity in early 2000. And from there, I went on to PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC. So I started out as managing director in the adult beverage space at Pricewaterhouse. And then I made partner of advisory services, PwC, Adult Bev. And I ran North America, Canada, and Mexico. So when you look at what we're doing in our funds, every relationship I made at that time in my late 30s, are people that we sell barrels to now all the time. And from Price Waterhouse, I founded a company called BevStrat. I sold that to private equity as well. That was a beverage marketing company. Then I founded InvestBev in 2015 for our first fund. Founded Sprout Beverage, which still exists today, and Algoma Capital, which exists today, which is a debt fund. So we've created this, what we call like a beverage engine, and we've created this really soup to nuts solution for a very complicated industry that didn't exist prior. So that's what we do, and I ran towards the light. A lot of guys run away from the light. You had said earlier before we started recording that you're a serial entrepreneur, and I would consider myself the same, but all within the same vertical, right? Because that's where my competitive advantage is. I can't go from liquor to car washes to organic food. I can stay in liquor, and there's so many opportunities here where the most intelligent and the most creative will win, and that's where I play. Oh fuck! I mean, George Clooney's the opportunity. It's a $1 billion opportunity. The problem is that The Rock is so good. So George Clooney got everyone engaged in celebrity branded stuff. The Rock is so good at what he does, and his Q rating, if you're familiar with kind of that's how the public feels about you, his Q rating is off the charts. So that someone who would be killing it, like Kevin Hart in the tequila game, is like a distant second. Michael Jordan, a distant second. Elon Musk, a distant second. And all of these guys. And then that's just tequila. Then you've got vodka. You've got Bruno Mars and rum. You've got Eva Longoria in tequila. You've got Troy Aikman in beer. Right now there is celebrity backlash in the adult beverage industry, because if a celebrity endorses everything and stands for everything, then do they stand for anything? And I think people your age and younger want their endorser to be more authentic. And you can't, if you endorse multiple things, like Shaq, right? I mean, Shaq has 1,000 endorsement deals. Which one is his favorite? You'll never know.
Yeah.
Which one is he most passionate about? You'll never know. Is it pizza? Is it the general insurance? Is it enterprise rent-a-car? You don't know, right? So I think people are pushing back on celebrity endorsement, and I think they just want really good quality product with a good social cause or mission. I think that's what they're gravitating towards. With marketing, it is always a function of just be authentic,
Exactly.
right? And be and kind of tell your truth.
Yeah.
And that's always what I've done. I think that people have this fake fear of being on camera, and they forget it's not the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
You're just talking to your phone and you put it where you put it. And I think it's such a huge opportunity. I was talking to some brands today that need and want and should do these things and don't. So yeah, I like so content marketing or YouTube back when I was, first starting my career as an adult. I never thought it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Like I never thought I knew it was part of it. And I knew that with the internet, you could reach everyone on earth without having the same budget as DDB or some big market, or BBDO, or not BBDO, but DDB or some big advertising firm. And so why not take advantage of all that? Yeah, look, there's no time like ever before in history where the playing field's level. Yeah. And so you don't have to go to an agency and buy ad time you can do it all yourself. Yeah. And the better content you create, I think the more viral, which is a word I hate, but the more audience you'll get, and the more your message can get out there. And the one thing that I think creators should know is always speak in your voice. That's what resonates. Don't speak for what you think, what I think you want to hear, because I have no idea. Speak to what my truth is, and the right audience will resonate towards it.
So when these celebrities and like they're monetizing their influence and they're getting into the adult beverage space, like what is it about the opportunity that's so lucrative, but in terms of like the multiple on the asset class itself, like how is it so high? Because like what is the consumption and just like why are the multiples so?
Well, are they high? I mean, that's a real question, right? Are they high? Tech multiples, I would argue, are very high. Right. This is a hard asset with inventory, with a tangible good, a touch and feel. It's not an algorithm. It's not a multiple on future earnings. You have an audience, and you can reach the audience anywhere. If you buy a bottle of Terramana, which is the Rock's tequila, right? You are endorsing. There's so many ways to monetize that. You're a fan of the Rock, perhaps. Maybe you're a fan of tequila. Maybe you're a fan of packaging. Maybe you're a fan of nightlife and social drinking. There's so many different entry points into that brand that you can sell and monetize the marketing for it over and over and over again. And that's why they're so valuable. The multiples are so high. If you buy George Clooney's tequila, are you a fan of the W Hotel, right? Are you a fan of Randy Gerber? Are you a fan of Clooney? Are you a fan of Cindy Crawford? Are you a fan of the three varietals? Añejo, Reposado, and Plato, or Blanco. So if a marketer, the data input is amazing, the output is amazing. So it's expensive, but the people that paid $1 billion for Clooney's deal, it's worth $3 billion now. So who's the schmuck? Clooney.
What's the margins? Let's use Terramana tequila. So right.
Yeah.
From storefront to production, what are the?
You got to figure that there's 65 or 70% of the margin is gone or spent already by the time it gets to the shelf.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you've got the supplier, which would be the Rock. Then you've got the rock sells it for a distributor. There's 30% on top of that. Then what the distributor sells it to the retailer for, there's 30 on top of that. And then what the retailer sells it to you for, there's 30 on top of that. I know 430s don't make 100, but everyone gets a big chunk. And the person who really gets screwed the most is the consumer, because the distributor gets their money, the rock gets his money, the store gets their money, and the consumer just pays a higher price to get more margin for the store, because you want the brand. And that's the whole idea about celebrity, because if you're Cuervo or Patron, people would say, what's the difference? But if you want the Rock's tequila, you're willing to pay for it. So it's what's called margin insensitive or margin inelastic. And so that's why the celebrity, if you win in the celebrity game, you really win. If you lose in the celebrity game, then you lose big.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, anything else like you want to share about the industry, or just almost just for the average person just getting into space, kind of like learning about it just at a high level?
Yeah.
Can you break down the industry?
Well, look, it is one of those industries that has gone up every year since 1933 in terms of spend and consumption.
In good times we drink, and bad times.
I've drunk in both, and been drunk in both. It's resilient as shit. I mean, you're an investor. I'm an investor in other things, as you are. My Bitcoin isn't doing any well. My solar farms aren't. My weed investments, right, aren't doing great. But if we're in a restaurant here, this bar is busy, and the bar is filled. The bar full of brands. People are gravitate towards that. It's never going to change. Even if you think about it like this, you're a data guy. I can boil it down in very simple data. 2 data points. One is during COVID, liquor stores were deemed essential businesses. Think about that. No liquor store closed during COVID, but the fucking schools closed, right? Liquor stores, grocery stores, and gas stations all remained open. Essential. So in a global health crisis, liquor stores were deemed critical for people. What's that tell you, right? 2 is that also during COVID, unemployment was at its highest, 15.6%. Consumption went up 5.6%. So when 15 out of every 100 people are unemployed, drinking went up. So that means their last dollars earned were spent on booze. That's a business I want to be in. And I am. So that's what's that tell you about resiliency?
Right.
That's if you can be in a business that can weather all of those storms, that's a good business.
Yeah. I mean, the fundamentals of it just makes sense. It's so ingrained in things that you do regularly. And you're right. It's actually real world value that you can touch, feel, spend money on it.
100%. And all you have to do is walk through any restaurant in any town, in any city on earth at night during dinner time, and there's alcohol on someone's table. A glass of vodka, a glass of wine, a glass of rosé, a glass of non-alc. In fact, it is so ingrained in our society that people feel the need to drink a non-alcoholic drink because they want to feel part of the crowd if they're not drinking that night, right? It's not, I'll just have water and I'm good. It's let me have a non-alcoholic beer or a non-alcoholic or a near beer or a low alcohol mixed drink, right? Or an athletic beer, the athletic, the hot beer brand that's non-alc. It's so part of what we do that people feel guilty for not doing it when their friends are doing it. That's cool. I never thought about that. That's a take-home lesson.
So walk us through. So the industry, obviously, we see the value. So when you're looking for specific portfolio companies or even investments in the fund, can you walk through your thought process behind?
Sure. So when we look at brands specifically, we like to see if it's on trend, either current or future. B, if it's got active and good leadership. C is cash flowing or cash reserves or plan to profitability. And it's got to have multi-sessionable use. So tequila can be a standalone drink or it can be part of a margarita, right? Red wine can be in a sangria or drunk as its own, right? So vodka can be vodka, a mixed drink, a mimosas, all these different things. So it increases the likelihood of use case. So we look for those things because you're not just, Jägermeister. If you know Jägermeister, it's every college dare. No one's just drinking Jägermeister. Jägermeister is the shot you give your buddy when you hate him. And so, it has a use, but not en masse, right? Not to the public. So I would never, although it's a great brand, but it's got limited kind of sessionability. Whereas a lot of Grand Marnier, for instance, can be in dessert. It can be in a tiramisu. It can be drunk by itself. It can be added to coffee. There's a lot of things, right?
I do want to preface that there are some parts of this episode where the audio cuts in and out. Don't worry, that's going to be taken care of for future episodes, and the microphone just kind of cut out. But if you do like this, go ahead and subscribe to our channel and comment below why you're actually interested in this, and a bit of background about yourself and what you are interested in, so that we can provide more valuable content, bring you thought leaders just like Brian to share their valuable feedback to overall help you grow. And we'd like to understand, you as a listener and provide valuable content going forward. And by you liking this, commenting, and subscribing, gives us fresh energy to be able to keep on providing valuable content to you. And please reach out to CrowdCreate. We're a full service marketing agency and strategic advisory to overall help you and your business grow. We'd love to hear from you, see how we can help you on any campaign needs that you have. So thank you.
Yeah, so I'm a lifelong Chicagoan, so that part that's published. Miami is new for us since COVID, and the way as I get older, I want to do more things that are better for me, and so being able to get up and go for a walk and it's 80 degrees and it's January, to me that makes me a healthier person, mind and spirit, body. And at the end of the day, there's people that benefit from that. My kids, my wife, my partners, and then it trickles down to my professional. Right? If my head is clear and I'm feeling good about myself, then I'll make better decisions. I'll be more alert. There's like a whole bunch of benefits to Florida. And so, for us, it seemed like a natural. We went away for COVID and kind of said, "Hey, this is not so bad. Should we stay?" And that's kind of where we're stuck now.
It's so interesting. I interview like a lot of my investments and successful founders, but I always talk about business, but the lifestyle is so important and interesting from a daily habit standpoint. Also, like we're talking about like longevity and just even sustainability to do your work. How much lifestyle actually plays into the business itself, which you mentioned.
And it's funny because what I'm learning now as I get into my, I guess what they call rounding the turn house, the back nine, if you will, is knowing. I read a great piece that Bezos did, and it was about knowing yourself enough to know where your strengths are and then playing right to them. So for me, I know I'm a morning person. I know that after lunch, which just happened, I slow down, I get more tired, my decision process changes. So my recommendation to myself was get up early, which I've done my whole life. Early, like 4:30, 5 o'clock every day, whether weekends, holidays, whatever, 4:30 or 5. Get all the important decisions done and made by 11 a.m. Use the rest of the day for light reading, perhaps catching up, having meetings, but non-meetings don't require a decision. And then push it all to the next morning when you're sharp and you're on your A game and all your kind of brainwaves are realigned with the morning. And so I've begun doing that over the last 5 years or so. And it's really changed how I make decisions and the quality of a good decision. And Miami, I think, plays into that because I rise, the sun comes up, I'm on the ocean, and I'm feeling the breeze. It's all very, I'm not like hokey like that, but I think if the more things you can do to make yourself feel better, the better you'll be in business and your personal life and your relationship with your children and all of that.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. So I guess just, as a whole, very successful in terms of multiple funds now, can you share like any other best practices for you in your career? I think specifically with like just capital raising, right? You
Yeah.
have a successful fund. Your previous investors love you. You know, I'm one of them.
Thank you.
I recommend you for you. I even considered it for my own like parents' portfolio. I was like, hey, is this gonna alternative?
Well, we're still open. Yeah, look, I don't, you know, it's funny. My chief investment officer said to me, you know, our first fund was in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And a small fund, friends and family, but the majority of our investing has been from 2020 on, our fundraising, COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and now another great financial crisis and recession or inflation, what have you. And I never thought raising money was hard.
Wow.
I really didn't. Yet I hear all the time about how the street has got bodies littered
Mm-hmm.
in the sides of people that can't get their fund off the ground.
Yeah.
And I never thought it was that big a deal. I really didn't. And my partner, my chief investment officer, said, you don't know how lucky you are. Like whether it's lucky, like touched by an angel lucky, or just good timing, or a great spiel. He said, you don't know how lucky you are. And I said, I'm offering, I really feel in my heart, I'm offering a good product for a good investment.
Yeah.
And I think if you really feel that, then raising money is easier.
Yeah.
If you're selling something, then the LP will call you bullshit all the time.
Right.
But if you really feel in your heart, I've got access to an investment class and an industry that not many people on earth have entered the way I have. So I feel passionately that I can add value to your portfolio.
Yeah.
And I think if you can communicate that properly, then the LPs will come and the money will follow. But if you're just selling to sell,
Right.
or if your eye is on the management fee, or if you're bullshitting yourself and others, I think you're going to have trouble. And that's never been my game.
You shared a lesson when we were having lunch. You reminded me, it was along the lines of like, don't F, somebody over, and just, maybe.
Oh yeah, well it's the same thing. Any industry you're in, if you're going to be good at it, you're going to know the players.
Right.
And if you're going to be good at an industry, you're going to know the players for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
If you fuck someone over,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is the F you're referring to,
Yep.
if you do that, that person knows someone who might know you.
Right.
So when you did a reference check on me, or for sure BL did, and
Mm-hmm.
others, you want to come back clean,
Right.
right? Because all you have, strip away all the bullshit, all you have is your reputation.
Right.
And that's it. So, it's important when you get to the table and you sit in front of an LP like yourself, that everything you say can be validated, and that you are who you say you are. And if you are, then it makes everything else easier.
Yeah. So from an ecosystem standpoint, and you get investments and deals referred to, and I'm guessing you being in the space for so long, right? Deals come in multiple ways. People refer people saying like, hey, this is a good company and whatnot, and because you have that reputation. So like, where are the vast majority of like really good investments? How are they coming in, and just, can you break
Sure.
down?
I think,
edge?
my son, who's a second year at the Kellogg MBA at Northwestern, would say your network is your net worth, right? And it's an old adage.
Yeah.
It goes to earlier. If you put out into the world, LinkedIn or otherwise, that you are doing this and this is what you're looking for, and you have your network, you'll get deal flow.
Yeah.
If you meet people and everyone in a non shithead way say, this is what I do, if you know anyone, let me know.
Yeah.
And so if you do that enough times for enough years, your deal flow pipe will come, right? It's just a matter of doing that work. And I will tell you also that everything in the world is available to you now in the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And especially now with AI, you can go and you can say, what are the 10 best pending wine and liquor deals out there? And the chat AI will come to you and say, here's what they are. So you'd be surprised, Jeff, how many people ask the question but don't search for the answer. Because everything's available, right? I mean, one of the things Gary says, right, is he's got no problem giving away trade secrets because people won't do the work.
Right.
He can give you a fucking roadmap and tell you everything you need to know, but you as the person are not going to do the effort, put the effort in. I don't feel so dissimilar.
Yeah.
We win at our company because we put the effort in. We put it in. We have employees that put it in, and we reward effort. And so when you do those things, the answers will appear.
Yeah, I agree. The cream always rises to the top. So actually, if you go to Google and you search top beverage investors or beverage investors, our website actually ranks like #1 for that.
Your website?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
and
great.
So we added you to the list.
Oh, thank you.
I did my due diligence in the industry, and like I'm an internet guy at the end of the day. I create content, but yeah, I could see that just word of mouth, having these conversations, and maybe you didn't realize it, but the reference check that you did and just talking to multiple people, you will elevate yourself to the top. And so
No, and I'm well understanding. I understand backlinks and all of that, and the more people talk about you, the more you'll rise. And I understand all sorts of embedding meta words into your all of it. Not bad for 52, right?
Right.
But it goes back to really, if you want to be good at anything, you just got to do the work.
100%.
Do the work. The world is really, really tiny now compared to when I came up in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do the work, you're going to have the results. If you don't do the work and you bitch about it, you're going to be working at the Denny's.
Yeah.
Grand Slam breakfast.
Of what I know, and even being like an LP in different funds, I think that you have probably one of the coolest experiences to engage them. I know that you did
the
your
distillery tour.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
Of everything that, I'm exposed to, that is to be one of the coolest experiences.
Yeah.
Like,
I will tell you, I invested in a solar farm, and I had a chance to go on the solar farm tour.
wow.
Yeah, and it put you to sleep.
I did a self-storage tour. I'm like,
No,
oh
it's all
my
bullshit.
God.
That stuff puts you to sleep. I mean, at least in our tours,
Yeah.
we go to a distillery, we'll drink some booze,
Right.
we'll have a great dinner. You're all with like-minded individuals. That really has value. But again, and here's, I guess, the point of it all. I never thought this was anything extra.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, hey, I'm going to a distillery. My LPs invest in distilleries.
Yeah.
Bring them with.
Right.
But it was never this calculated.
Wow.
That's all it was, truly. It was never this calculated, hey, I'm going to get them to the distillery and get them more engaged and maybe get some more money. It was none of that. It was, this is the investable asset class.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going anyway. I'll put the invitation out for who wants to go. And whoever can go, can go.
Yeah.
And if you come from this place of purity like that,
Uh-huh.
then the good shit always happens.
Right.
But if you go out looking for the stuff, you're going to get blocked.
Yeah. A lot of this seems natural to you. Like, what are some, just the mechanics? And I noticed, just for me observing, you take care of your current people, your LPs, I'm guessing, your staff, and that actually has just grown referral based. For me, it's I'm the backlinking guy, internet marketing, that's what I enjoy. But for you and just the success of your fund, what are some of those things that you've noticed work really well?
I mean, it really is hokey. We're in a fun business, right? So we have an advantage no matter what. We're in a fun business. It's not not fun, but fun, right? Fun, F-U-N. We're in a fun business. People enjoy going out, being social. So we win because of that. Our team all gravitates towards us because of that. And then hopefully they put out the same kind of energy.
Yeah.
So that's, again, there's no secret sauce. I think that you really, if you make it about the LP and not about the GP, you'll get more LPs.
Right.
That's it. GP, private equity gets a little bit of a bad rap sometimes because people play for fees and all that. But the reality is, if you're giving returns and you're transparent with your communication, you're going to have good success. If you treat the LP well, you communicate with them, they will tell their friends. And I've got plenty of GPs in other funds that don't send me information about my investments. We communicate all the time. We're all in the same boat, rowing the same direction.
Yeah.
And if you keep thinking like that, I think you have success.
So what happens if deals go bad and the boat has a hole in the side? And so what happens when it starts thinking, how do you communicate bad news or even
Right away. Right away. Just right away.
Yeah.
Because you're invariably going to have a hole in the boat,
Right.
right? But you don't want two holes in the boat, right? One hole you can plug, two holes you sink.
Yeah.
And so when you have that first hole, you say, look, we're underperforming here, and this is why, and we know now better, and move forward. When you have two holes, then you start to, trust starts to waver.
Mm-hmm.
And having raised $250 million in the last 3 years, it's all on trust.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're only, we haven't realized our fund 2 yet. We're just giving back bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So, I think you communicate bad news early, and you don't dwell on it, and you let the LP know that there's a solution out there for the problem that there is, and you keep going. But look, at the end of the day, I can give you all the spiritual shit all you want. You gotta hit your numbers.
Right.
You gotta know your numbers. You gotta hit your numbers. You gotta make returns, and you gotta communicate it, good, bad, or otherwise. And if you do those things, then you've got a future in equity, or private placement equity. And if you don't, you're gonna, again, you're side of the road.
Is there anything that I should have asked you, or anything in closing that you want to add in? That we should
We're a fortunate group of people. You and I separately and together, and there's room enough for everyone on the mountain. So this is not, hey, look at what he's achieving. It's what I'm really trying to communicate is, this is here for all of us. You just have to do the work.
Maybe just as a high level, so the adult beverage industry, maybe by the numbers, I was on your website, but just in terms of it's such an attractive asset class. Maybe can you give high level just overview of it, and then I noticed that the highest earnings of value to EBITDA multiple, and just
many billions of dollars of M&A in 2022. Multiples are the highest among any investable asset class, between 8 and 11x on depends on what the metric is, but 8 and 11x. More M&A deals were done in 2022, arguably a recession, than the 10 years prior. So in the beverage business in general, it is always better to buy than build. So for any entrepreneur that's out there, once you get going, you have a high likelihood of being acquired because you've found the audience. If you are trying to, if you're a big acquirer and you try and build from scratch, there's no guarantee of an audience. That creates then the ability for brands to exit out. So those are tried and true in our business, and the barrel piece is icing on the top.
Wow. So I've seen so private equity as an asset class has outperformed S&P 500. How has the adult beverage or alcohol industry?
The adult beverage industry has outperformed the S&P 500 for the last 10 years.
Wow.
S&P went up, I think, 4% last year. Mm-hmm. We're at 5.6.
And these are publicly traded. Is that what you're comparing to?
Yeah, the bigs. Uh-huh. The bigs, which encompass 80% of the whole market.
Yeah.
Diageo, Constellation, Pernod Ricard, Stoli Group. The big brands that own thousands of brands underneath their corporate umbrella.
Okay. Sounds good. Awesome. What is the best place for people to contact you and reach out?
We got a bunch of websites, but I'll give you the main website, and you can find all of our websites from there. growthbeverage.com, www.growthbeverage.com. If you use the information superhighway or the internet, that's where you'll find us.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan. Really appreciate your time.
You got it.
So again, I hope you liked that episode with Brian. He's a phenomenal person. There are going to be links below in the description to learn more about himself, to connect with him, and even to reach out to us at Crowd Create. Our overall goal here is to be able to bring you valuable insights from industry thought leaders, just like Brian Rosen in the adult beverage industry. And so if there's anything that we can do to help, please reach out to our team. We'd love to learn more about you, your project, your overall goals in the industry. And that's everything from growing and scaling a company to becoming a better investor. And appreciate you listening. Thanks.